Today on our 2014 Honda CRV, we're going to be installing Demco's Tabless Base Plate, part number DM9519328. To complete our flat toe setup, we use Demco's Commander tow bars, Demco's Tabless Base Plate kit, Roadmaster's Diode wiring kit, Roadmaster's battery charge line kit, Roadmaster's brake light relay kit, and SMI's Stay and Play Duo supplemental braking system. This base plate is going to connect to your vehicle behind the bumper, so it's not going to be very noticeable, and it's going to give you an attachment point to hook up to your RV to pull it behind it. Included with your base plate, you're going to get pins that'll work with any of Demco's tow bars. These adapter pins will slide right into your base plate, and they attach to the tow bar, so when you're done using them, they slide out and there's nothing sticking out of your base plate. There's an attachment point for your safety chains, as well as a bracket that comes included, so you can mount your 6-pole connector on your vehicle. This base plate is also compatible with other brands of tow bars, such as Roadmaster or Blue Ox, and you can find those adapters here at etrailer.com. We'll begin our installation underneath the hood by removing all the fasteners here at the top. There'll be a total of 6 tabs. You'll need to pop up using a flat blade screwdriver or a trim panel remover tool. Pop up the center of the tab, and then you can pull the rest of it out. And we're going to do this the same way for the rest of the tabs. Not using the same tool, we're going to be underneath the vehicle and we're going to remove the 4 pins along the front on the bottom. We'll do it exactly the same way. Pop out the center of the tab and you can pull the pin out. Then on both the passenger and driver's side, just in front of the wheel, you're going to need to remove the pin here and the bolt here. The pin pops out the same way as our other pins. And we'll remove the bolt with a 10mm socket. Make sure to get the other side as well. Now on our passenger side, we're going to remove the 2 push pins located here and here in our fender well, and the 1 screw located here at the bottom. We'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove this. It is a tight fit. We're using a little ratchet to do it. But what you could do is you could turn your steering wheel all the way to the left. That would make it easier to get a screwdriver in there. The pins that are located up here, they are a little bit different than your other pins. They have a center that actually unscrews. Now it's not uncommon for these ones here in the fender well to not unscrew due to dirt and debris that they see all the time. So if that's the case, just like that one there, you can just get behind them with your trim panel remover tool and just pop them out. Now on each side, we're going to need to pull back the fender liner here. Pop that back. Right here, you'll find another push pin. We'll need to remove this push pin as well. This is going to be difficult to see, but if you just feel your hand in there, right along the seam here, you'll feel that push pin. That's the reason why we're removing it, so we can separate this seam. Now we'll pull down the bottom of our bumper. We're just separating that from this trim piece. We can then take this trim piece and just pop it out. Just kind of work your way up, popping it out of the tabs. And we needed to do that so we could access this screw right here. We'll then pull the trim piece back and take out the screw with a Phillips head screwdriver. We'll now need to remove our grill. To do this, you're going to want to kind of grab the grill right around this area, pull outward, and just start working it around the edges. And just keep working it until it pops off. Once you've got it popped out a little bit, you are going to have to give it a pretty good tug. Make sure you've got a good grip on it and just pull straight out real hard. And it'll release from all the tabs. Now we'll need to release our fascia tabs. You'll see a tab here. And you may need to take a screwdriver to kind of go in there and release that tab. And then you can pull outward on it. You'll do that on the other side as well. Now starting on the side, you want to work your way behind the fascia here. And we're going to pop it outward out of its tabs. Once you've got both sides popped out, We'll need to release it here under our headlight. We'll then take our screwdriver. You may have to pop up on some of the tabs here just to get them to release. Once you've popped the fascia off, you'll want to reach down and disconnect your fog lights. And now we can set it aside where it won't get damaged. We'll now remove the bolt holding the horn on. You use a 12mm socket to do this. We can then just let the horn hang by the wiring. You can just tuck it back here on the plastic, that's fine. We'll now need to trim our air deflector here. We're just going to make a trim right down this section here, and that'll let this hull come off. We're going to use a cutoff wheel to do this. We can then take our trim panel remover tool, pop out the clip here at the top holding that on, and then here at the bottom this will just twist out, and we can discard this as we won't be reinstalling it. We'll then need to trim a notch out of the other side of our air deflector. We've gone ahead and marked it out. If you couldn't quite get it all with the angle you had, you can just take a pair of snips and just go in there and just trim that last little bit off. We'll then need to cut out a small section here. This is located underneath the bumper beam, right next to the lower bolt that attaches it to the frame. We'll be using the same tool to make this cut. We'll now repeat that same process on the other side. We can now take our base plate, we're going to set it into position. We'll line up the rearmost hole in our base plate with the existing hole in the frame and slide through one of the 1 1/4 inch 3/8 diameter bolts. We'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll then take the blue Loctite, we're going to put some inside of our nut plate here. We'll take our nut plate, we're going to go in through the large hole just above our base plate. We're going to come down and line that up with our bolt. There's a small hole behind your base plate that you can kind of look in to line that up. Once you've got that lined up, you'll want to tighten it down into the nut plate. We're going to do that using a 9/16 socket. You'll then need to remove the bolts that hold in your quick connect pins here. To make this easier, I use some vice grips, clamped it onto the frame underneath of it just to hold it into position. We can remove these bolts using 2 3/4 inch sockets or a 3/4 inch socket and wrench. Now that we've got our bolts out of the way, we're going to come up through this hole here using a 3/8 inch drill bit, and we're going to drill out a hole in the bottom of our bumper beam. I like to start with a 3/8 inch drill bit just to make my mark, and then I use a smaller drill bit to make a pilot hole. Then we'll step it back up to our larger drill bit size. You'll then repeat that same process on the other side. We'll now take some of the blue Loctite, place it on one of the 1 1/4 inch bolts. We'll slide the bolt up through the hole we just drilled out. Then we'll take the long nut plate. We're going to come in from the side of our bumper beam, go down to our bolt, and we're going to thread it into that nut plate. You'll see 2 open holes on the side of your base plate next to the bolt that we had ran on the side here. We'll need to drill out both of these holes on each side using a 3/8 inch drill bit. We'll repeat that on the other side. I'll take one of the 1 1/4 inch by 3/8 bolts, place some of the blue Loctite on it, slide it through the hole you just drilled, and then on the other side you're going to place on a lock washer followed by a nut. You'll repeat the same process on each of these holes and each hole on the other side. Then tighten them down with a 9/16 socket. You may need to hold the nuts on the back side with a 9/16 wrench. Then torque all of your hardware to the specifications in your instructions. Now reinstall the large nuts onto the bolts that we removed earlier to drill out our upper bolts here and tighten those back down. We'll now take a small piece of tubing. We're going to cut it down the center. We're using 3/8 inch diameter. You can use really whatever you have. If you need some, you can pick some up here at our website. We're then going to place it on our air conditioning line here. You are going to need to bend this line up just a little bit to keep it from contacting your base plate. And then you can slide the hose over the line, and that'll just prevent it from rattling and causing any contact damage. We'll now take our supplementary safety cable. We're going to wrap it up and around the frame here. And we're going to attach it to itself using the locking clamp. And take the other end of our cable, we're going to come up and wrap it around our base plate, making sure not to pinch any of the hoses or wiring between it and the base plate. And again, we're going to connect it onto itself. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And now on our fascia, we are going to need to trim out a small section of the lower bottom corner. Gone ahead and marked it out there. We're just going to need to make a quick snip here, here, and then across using some tin snips to just make room for that base plate and safety chain openings. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Then reinstall your horn. And now if you so desire, you can install the 6-pole connector bracket. This can be installed at either the left or right side using the holes just behind your safety chain loops. So you can install it however you like. You can put it above here, on the outside. Just know that you're going to have to do additional trimming to your fascia depending on how you want to install it. And you can now reinstall your fascia using reverse order of how we took it off. And that completes our installation of our Demco Tabless Base Plate on our 2014 Honda CRV.